Hello guys, thanks for joining me. I thought I'd show you a book in my collection, and it's a 1943 publication of a German book on Army Group South and their campaign in southern Russia into the Crimea. And the title of the book is Bessarabien, Ukraine, Krim. There's a woodcut on the front, and it shows a Romanian soldier in the back and a German soldier in the front here. The inside of the pages here has a map of the region. We got the Crimea down here. Ukraine would have been up there. And we got Romania down here and Hungary. So basically Army Group South went out from Romania through southern Russia. We got Odessa there, for example, into the Crimea. And this book basically commemorates the Army campaign down there. Though the book was published in 1943, as I say, the actions here would have been taken between summer of 1941 onwards. So first of all, we got a foreword by the Romanian commander of the Romanian army, and that is Marshal Antonescu. Next we got the photograph of Field Marshal Erich von Manstein. He was the commander of the Army Group A, and he was in charge of the army going into the Crimea. He ended up being commander of the Army Group Dawn afterwards. He ended up losing his job, I think, in early 1944 after the disaster at Kursk. But he survived the war. I think he died in the early 1970s. But anyhow, this is Erich von Manstein, Commander-in-Chief of the Army Group South. And here we got a photograph of General von Stubert, and he was the commander of the 11th Army. Stubert died in, I think, September of 1941. He was involved in an airplane crash. Anyhow, we begin with a written commentary on the campaign with these woodcut illustrations. So this book would have been probably printed for veterans to buy as a memory of their time in the Crimea region. Obviously, if the war would have gone the way the Germans wanted it to go to. But anyhow, you got these lovely woodcuts here, and we got the Crimea shield here. And the rest of it is just a photograph essay. So we got the start of the campaign here. We've got German and Romanian soldiers here in action, and it just has some very good photographs of the early stages of the Russian invasion. Gives you an idea of the landscape the Germans were going through, and we got troops on the march here. It has to be remembered that the majority of German infantry marched all the way. Again, photographs here of the soldiers on the move, artillery. There's some nice close-up photographs of troops in action. For example, here we got a photograph of a PAK-35 crew. Got Romanian soldiers going through a cornfield, and then full-page photographs here occasionally. Some interesting weapons on show, which you don't really see very often. For example, the soldier in the back here is carrying a PZB-39, which is a 8mm single-shot anti-tank gun. So that's quite nice to see. And you see the uniforms of the early stages of the war. And we got some SS troops here with their SS camouflage uniforms. Got the local population here. They initially welcomed the Germans. There are also a series of drawings. And again, troops here on the move, going through a desolate village here. Got the commanders-in-chief here. There's von Stubert there. There's von Manstein. And these are Romanian soldiers here. You can see the Romanians had their new helmets, but they also had the old French World War I style helmets still in use at the time. So I'm not going to go all through through every single photograph here, but you can see there's quite a lot of photographs here that really give good impressions of the uniforms worn by the soldiers. For example, here we got a medic. He has his medic pouches in the front here, and the soldier here is carrying a 8mm PZB 39, and you got the special pouches for the 8mm ammunition used for that anti-tank gun. So that's quite nice to see. You got the radio operators here with their backpacked radio sets. Got a flamethrower in action here. And really some nice, basically propaganda photographs of the German soldiers in action. Soldiers being decorated for valor. And you got German soldiers here killed in action. Again, troops in action here. There's a anti-aircraft gun in use there. And again, the long lines of soldiers marching. Here's a nice picture of officers viewing the battle scene through a scissors telescope. Got a NCO here, a sergeant here, a corporal I should say. We got the mud of southern Russia and the heat of southern Russia. It's quite a nice documentary book here. I like the sequence here. You got German army bakers. So you got the baking ovens here for baking bread. They required a lot of wood for the baking, so they're cutting down the wood here into small to basically light up the portable ovens. And you got the bread here coming out, ready to be distributed to the German troops. And again, you got troops here on the march. These are actually Italians. The Italians were also involved in the invasion of Russia. So you got Italian troops here. Battle damage in Odessa. And the Germans reached the Black Sea. And again, you got quite nice pictures here. There's a Panzer IV there. We got again the PZZ 39 in use there. German troops on a punt going through the marshes. As I said, there's a lot of marching going on, and the German army basically marched for thousands of kilometers. This one here is 4,000 kilometers that this particular division marched from the beginning of the war. So they marched into France, and then from France into Russia. And at this point here, that particular division here had on foot marched 4,000 kilometers. So that gives you kind of an impression of the vast distances that the German army covered. Again, some very nice photographs here. Got these Romanian soldiers here being awarded German awards. Russian POWs. Not many of these would have survived captivity. And we've got General von Schubert. As I said, he was commander of the 11th Army, and he was involved in an airplane crash in September 1941. That's him, his last photograph as he goes into the airplane, which ends up being, I'm not sure whether it was shot down or whether it crashed. Anyhow, he was killed, and both he and his pilot were buried in southern Russia. And then we go into the Crimea campaign. They got these troops here breaking through into the Crimea, and all the heavy fighting in that particular area. Again, you got these nice photographs of troops on the move and all the equipment being used. More Russian prisoners. Wounded being air-vaced out of the place in a Junkers 52. And again, it was quite a costly battle for the Germans. The Germans lost quite a lot of men in the Crimea, Again, we got a military cemetery here. That's a interesting photograph. It shows a British Army Bedford truck. Once the British Army escaped from Dunkirk and the area in 1940, the Germans captured quite a lot of British Army equipment, and a lot of it ended up being used. And here we see what used to be a British Army Bedford truck being used by the Germans in southern Russia. So that's quite an interesting photograph. Again, reconnaissance troops here. This picture here says they're looking for fleas and lice. Got more troops here, another Pak 35 in action. And then the Crimea is reached. This one here shows Yalta and on the Crimea. Interestingly, that's 2 or 3 years later, Churchill and Stalin and Roosevelt would meet in Yalta. And fighting going on in the Crimea. You got these tripod-mounted MG-34s for sustained fire. And some nice pictures of things you wouldn't really think about, like road signs. So this particular road sign says, if you see any partisans, shoot them dead. This one here is, take care of your material, otherwise he'll let you down. Basically, make sure that you keep everything in running order. This one here says, basically, ensure you use your brake correctly. It's a long way to the hospital. And this one here says, keep your distance. So that's distance between trucks. And we've got the large military cemetery in the Crimea. All that would have been destroyed by the Russians. A lot of that would have been covered up and destroyed. It's a nice full-length photograph of 2 German NCOs with their MP38s and MP40s, I should say. That's the early version with the fluted receiver. And then fighting in the Crimea again. So some really nice, interesting photographs. I like this one here. It shows a German soldier here in the back here wearing the canvas M40 straps. So they weren't just worn on the battlefields of North Africa and Italy. This picture here would have been taken in late 41, early 42, and it shows that they were being used in Russia at that particular stage. And then we get to Sevastopol. Again, here's Marshal Antonescu and his troops. A picture here again of Field Marshal von Manstein. And again here. And you can really see the strain on the faces of these soldiers here, the hard fighting that they've had to undertake. Here's a forward observation post just on the outskirts of that town here. You got these 2 soldiers scratched in a shell hole with the binoculars here looking out. Tanks coming in. Heavy fighting in the town. This is Sevastopol from the air. Again, Russian prisoners. And then we got the end of the book here where the Crimea has been taken. And you got German troops at a army cinema enjoying some kind of a comedy film. We've got wounded troops here. And that's it. In the back we got a series of photographs of people who received the Iron Cross, the Grand Cross, some various soldiers here. And that's really it. So that's my 1943 book on Army Group South. Anyhow, I'll leave it at that. Again, the video is getting a little bit long, but it's quite a nice book here. If you're reading about the history, just to give you photographic proof of the equipment being used, as I say, of the soldiers that were actually doing the fighting, and seeing all these early war uniforms being worn. It's quite an interesting book. So anyhow, as always, I'll leave it at that. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.